You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm going to talk about a bit of a different sort of a project, because it's not a group, and it's about my partner Peter Hosking and I restoring a site on my family land at Piha. When we started, we knew virtually nothing, and we've basically learned by trial and error, and with the help of an invaluable little QE2 book by Porteous for landowners restoring private land, which is currently out of print. Mainly it's just been the two of us, but we've had occasional help from Forest and Bird and family and friends, but basically most of our family and friends think we're completely nutty and leave us to it. So just to orient you, my family property is outlined in red there. This is the southern end of Piha Beach, where you walk round to the gap, and we've got regional park on two sides, on the western side and the southern side. And you can see a track running through the regional park part on the western side, and that's the Tasman Lookout track, which now goes to the gap. That hatched land on the bottom half of your screen was owned by the buyers or the Usher family descendants, but is now part of the regional park. So it's 25 acres, my property, and the project takes in about half of the family property, and we've also taken over most of that bit of the regional park between my property boundary and the Tasman Lookout track. It takes quite a while to walk in to the southwestern end of the property. It takes about 20 minutes to walk in. This is just a photo from the southern boundary taken in 2007, looking over the property to Piha Beach, and you can see the Tasman Lookout track down there towards the cliff edge. 1994, a volunteer fireman set fire to it. Fire's very hard to fight in this location, as there's no water, no road access. The same, and so that's most of that's showing it in my going up in the family property. The same person came and set, after we'd done about 4 years work restoring it, set fire to the property again, and mind you that these fires are started in the regional park. He set fire to it again in 1998. This is a scene after the 1994 fire, and you can see the Tasman Lookout track as that sort of brown snake on the left. The property had been farmed by descendants of the Usher family, and the husband of one of them, Budge Phillipson, till about 1945, when it was retired. So the regrowth that was destroyed was about 50 years old. Immediately after the fire happened, we were pretty thrilled to see green little leaves appearing, coming out of the soil all over the place. What it turned out to be was gorse. Gorse seed can live up to 100 years in soil, so there was a huge seed bank. And much of what we've done over the last 26 years is kill gorse. In the early stages, that's been amounted to a lot of spraying, which is quite difficult because there's a lot of wind. And then in some parts of the site, natives came away, and so rather than spray them at the time, a lot of gorse cutting and pasting. We can't take the cut material off the site because it's too far away from anywhere. We've also found you can't just cut large areas because it's so exposed to the prevailing winds that everything just gets burned off, and also the wind's got salt in it. So we use the gorse that we cut, well, both standing gorse before it's cut and cut gorse to protect the areas where we're doing planting. The other thing just to say is that gorse is not the only problem we've had in the weed department. At some point we became aware of a huge infestation of climbing asparagus, which was coming into the property both from the regional park and from the private land to the south. And that's still one of our big issues. We've also grown our own plants from local seed for infill planting. We grow a variety of plants found in the area, from seed collected in the area or little seedlings collected in the area. We haven't had much success with planting manuka, and the manuka that's growing there has mainly come away from seed. This is after 10 years, and it's quite an interesting photo because what you can see up the top, if you look at the top there, you can see kind of bigger carnica and vegetation, and that's the part that was never burned in the fire. That's the boundary with the fire. Just down below it, there's a kind of a monoculture, slightly darker green bit, and that's an area we hadn't got to at that date, and that's just pretty well gorse. And then below it, you can see restored part of that gully with a lot of manuka, and probably not chewing properly, that is sort of well over your head and has got canopy closure. This photo was taken in 2011, looking down towards the Camel Rock. We found that what we do in any particular site needs to be tailored to the part of the site, sort of almost like microclimates according to the shelter that the site has got and how exposed to the prevailing winds. Another photo showing looking down the hill at the Tasman Lookout, showing the sort of variety of plants that we've been able to get established there. We've had a kind of controlled trial going on with our methods against what's happened in the regional park, as they've done negligible restoration, and the sharp green line running across the middle of this photo is my boundary, and the yellow above it is the gorse on the regional park. So this photo was taken in 2010, so you can see that's 16 years of restoration, and shows what can be done with active intervention. Although this is a macro sort of a project, you do get grateful for the little things that happen, like your first Pohutukawas flowering or hearing fernbirds on the site, which we now have, also grey-faced pectorals down on the cliff. 2017, so that was 3 years ago, another arsonist set fire along the Tasman Lookout track, and some took hold. And this photo is mainly in the regional park area, and it kind of runs into my property, and it shows a very gorse infested site which the fire just ripped through it. The fire also came into other parts of my property that were quite well established, and it was just showing a bit of it, although we did find it moved much more slowly and was much more confined in the areas that we restored compared to in the gorse area where it just went in all directions. So this photo shows Peter standing in gorse that's actually 25 years old. Contrary to theories about natives coming through and overtopping gorse, in a harsh coastal environment nothing grows that tall, and we've ended up with hectares of a monoculture of gorse in the parkland on my boundary and in some of my property. And this is also now infested with climbing asparagus, so it's not very pleasant to work with and difficult. After the recent fire, what came through was more gorse. As I said, there's a huge seed bank in the soil. This is 6 months after the fire. This green sward, we knew what it was this time, came up, and it was very little but gorse. In some areas where this is in the areas we've been working in some areas natives resprout after a fire, and that flax does, sedge does, some mahoe does. And what happened was, after the fire went through, the manuka dropped seed, and that germinated. So Peter and I hoped that this would happen. We took separate blocks and used different techniques, mainly because otherwise we argue too much, to control the gorse, but let the manuka grow. And I started by spraying twice with glyphosate before the manuka germinated, which was partially successful, but more came up after the manuka did, and I ended up crawling around with knee pads, hand pulling gorse, and thinking evil thoughts about people who were opposed to spray while I was doing it, and wondering why they weren't there helping me. Peter has discovered a new spray called Versatile, which kills gorse but does not affect manuka, and has had some our blocks actually look pretty well the same with us using slightly different methods. And this is just the final photo, and it's a recent photo to show what the burned area looks like now, and you can sort of see moving up the hill that grey sort of stuff, and that's the burnt manuka. But you can't really see the burned area because we really have managed to get back at least a covering on the soil in most places, and all of which is growing really well, despite the drought that we've had. So it's basically taken us 3 years with what we'd learned from our previous fires to restore this burned area, although we in regional parks still have a large burned gorse area right on the coast to complete, which is going to be a challenge because, as I've said, nothing's coming up of its own volition, or very little. So that's the end of my story.
Thank you, Sandra. Wow, fire gorse. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm going to hand back to Sandra. If there's any questions, would you mind looking at them in the chat, please? And I'm going to hand back over to Peter now.
Thanks, Michelle. Well, we hope that you found the last couple of hours interesting. It's absolutely fascinating to me